Hi, everybody. This is Betsy Wurzel, host of Chatting with Betsy on Passionate World Talk Radio. Jeanne White is the producer and writes the blog. I would appreciate it if you would read the blog, share the show. I'd appreciate it if you would please subscribe to my show, Chatting with Betsy. That is on Spotify, Spreaker, Castbox, Google, Apple Podcast, and Amazon Alexa. You can tell Alexa, gitl to Chatting with Betsy. So thank you very much. Okay, folks, do you ever wonder how a quiet, shy, insecure young girl became an advocate? Would you like to know? Well, you will hear my story. That's right, folks. I'm going to do my story and how I became an advocate. And yes, believe it or not, I was a very shy, quiet young girl. I'm still shy, although people don't believe that, because I could talk on the radio or do videos in my car. That I can do. Put me in a social setting, it's very different. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you this quick little story. When I went to my senior center for a seminar, I did not even want to go up to a table and introduce myself or sit down. Thankfully, the social worker saw me and brought me to a table, and I'm glad she did, and I happened to make a friend that day. So how did a shy, quiet girl become an advocate? Well, I'm going to tell you. It began with my son, Joshua, who has special needs. I had to be an advocate for Josh so he could get what he needed, because if I didn't speak up for Josh, it was not going to happen, because Matt was not going to speak up, and Matt was not going to fight for him. I had to. I had to advocate for Josh when he was young, because I thought there was something that wasn't right, and I was correct, which is why I tell people, listen to your intuition, go by your gut. And I was right. Josh did have a problem. And I trusted the child study team to know what was best for Josh. And they will not tell you what will cost the town money, because they don't want to spend the money, because it's expensive to go out of a district. That means going out of your town to a private school. Well, when Josh was going to graduate from middle school and going to high school, I said, no, he's not going to go to local high school over my dead body. And by that time, I had a diagnosis for Josh. I joined a support group. I found a private school, and I told the child study team, I want Josh to go to this school, and if you do not send him there, I'm going to sue you. Of course, they didn't know that I didn't have the money for a lawyer, so they thankfully approved it, and Josh went to a private special education school. And I'm very grateful for that. So, folks, knowledge is power. I had to find out about these things. I had to find out about private special ed schools. I found out that the child study team is not going to tell a parent what will cost the town money. So this is why you have to be an advocate for yourself and for your loved ones. And, folks, I know you might think, well, Betsy, you're very brave, you're courageous, it's easy for you to be an advocate. But it has nothing to do with that. Trust me, it has nothing to do with that. I had to stand up for my son. Was it because of bravery? It's because I knew it had to be done. You know what? Being an advocate doesn't necessarily mean going on a talk show or doing a video. You can be an advocate by posting on your page. You can be an advocate by talking to your family, your neighbor, about Alzheimer's or whatever dementia your loved one has. You could be an advocate in speaking up to your doctor if you think something isn't right, or questioning a doctor, questioning your medical team. This is all part of being an advocate and being proactive. When Matt was diagnosed, I immediately took him to the lawyer. Had a will done. Well, I had my will done. I thought I had Matt's will done, but I didn't. But getting the advance directive. This is all being part of being proactive. But I was always, I guess, an advocate in a way. Excuse me. When, it's another cute story. When I was a little girl, probably about 4 years old, my older brother, I saw him outside laying down, and a neighbor was sitting on him and hitting him. I was a little thing, okay? I ran out the back door. I smacked the kid in the face, and I said, "Don't you hit my brother." And I ran back in the house, and my mother couldn't believe I did that because I was so tiny. So maybe that was the beginning of being an advocate, even before Josh. I always was a caretaker. I am what you call a natural-born caregiver. I was a nurse. I knew at 4 years old when my mom had pneumonia that I wanted to be a nurse. Excuse me. So I always thought, like caregiving came natural to me. It doesn't come natural to some people. And I always fought for my patients and my clients. I know that sometimes when I at work, when I worked in a state facility, people said not so nice things about me, and they thought I was stupid because I would stick up for my client. I knew something was not right. And, of course, it ended up that I was right. So I don't care what people think. And don't let the opinions of others stop you from speaking up. I don't have time for that. I really can't let that stop me anymore. Excuse me. The air in New Jersey is very heavy tonight, and I live in New Jersey. And when Matt's mom had Alzheimer's, I didn't know anything about Alzheimer's. This is going back to the year we moved in 1999. Didn't find out until 2001 that Mom had Alzheimer's, and I worked as a nurse, and I did not know anything about Alzheimer's. It was not even mentioned. It's senility, organic brain syndrome, and hardening of the arteries. Those were the terms that were used. I learned as much as I could with the information that was available. But what happened was I would fight with Matt to get his mother to the doctor. So I was advocating for his mom. And I would be the advocate for his mom because I thought she deserved the best care. Now, what happened was it was not good for our marriage to keep fighting all the time. It was a vicious cycle. I would tell Matt what to do because he needed to be told what to do, and most men don't want to be told what to do. Sorry, guys, but that's true. You men don't like to be told what to do, but sometimes you have to be told what to do. And, of course, men don't listen. I'm not bashing guys here. I just know from my own husband, 39 years, Matt didn't listen. So it was this bickering back and forth. Yes, that put a toll on our marriage. But I can't turn a blind eye. And this is what I told Matt. I can't turn a blind eye. Your mom needs help. What I did learn from that lesson was don't make each other the enemy. If you are a married couple, if you're a partner, don't make each other the enemy. Get the doctor to be the enemy, okay? That's a lesson I want you to learn from me. I'm not an expert. I don't know everything. I'm just trying to teach people from my experience, and I don't want you all to make the same mistakes that I made. And Matt's journey, let me go back to his mom. His mom ended up going into a nursing home in 2004, and she died in June 2006. And when you've been fighting for so long and that person dies, and you sit back and you see the remnants of that your marriage fell apart. Now, Matt and I loved each other. There was no question about that. But sometimes life gets in the way. I recommend marriage counseling also. And, just try not to let this disease destroy your marriage or family relationships. It should actually bring people closer together. So just as we were starting to get back on track, Matt started showing signs of dementia. And when Matt's company put Matt out on disability, I was floored because Matt didn't tell me what was going on. And to hear the doctors say he's too young for dementia, it's not dementia, it's depression. And when Matt was tested by a neuropsychologist 10 years ago, and she accused Matt of being non-compliant and said he had a deep psychological problem, he couldn't possibly be that bad. Well, I didn't know 10 years ago what I know now. And so I, of course, yelled at Matt for not being cooperative, because I told him before this test it's going to cost like over $300 out of pocket. Please be cooperative. And Matt told me, he said, Betsy, I was cooperative. I could not remember. Well, I didn't know back then, like I know now, which is what I just said. So I just I was mad, but I let it go. And now when I think about it, if someone is coming to a neuropsychologist because they can't remember, why wouldn't you not believe them? Why can't you believe that person? Why do you have to blame the person, the patient, and say, oh, they're not trying hard enough? That's ridiculous. So these things made my blood boil. And I did not like how we were treated. I feel that doctors didn't listen. Matt's company doctor, who I will never know whether she just talked to him on the phone or if she saw him in person or both, I do not know, suspected dementia, but she was hoping it could be the reversible kind due to a vitamin deficiency or a thyroid deficiency, but she felt that it wasn't the reversible kind. So I, let it slide. Okay, maybe it is depression, but you know what? Depression and having early onset or whatever dementia kind of goes hand in hand. Now, who wouldn't be depressed if you can't do your job, if you can't drive, if you have trouble doing everyday tasks, if you can't write, can't read, things that you like to do, you can't do? Who wouldn't be depressed? I was depressed watching it. And then when Matt asked me what time was Sunday school, because he taught Sunday school for over 20 years, I said, are you serious or are you kidding me, Matt? He said, I'm serious. So I said, well, this isn't depression anymore. And because Alzheimer's ran in Matt's family, we went back to the doctor, the neurologist, and I said, Matt doesn't know what time Sunday school is. I don't think this is depression anymore. Call it what it is and give Matt the medication. So I had to be an advocate. I had to stand up to the neurologist. If I didn't, who knows what would have happened. Doctors did not know 10 years ago what they know now. They did not recognize early onset. We were blown off when I told Matt's primary doctor Matt was having memory problems. I was blown off. And then when Matt's primary doctor got the reports, he was like, oh, my goodness. We just wanted to be believed. And that was 2010. So I went on Facebook in 2014, and I learned a lot from caregivers and caregiving groups. And I wanted to speak up, but I didn't have a smartphone. And my friend Marcia Burr always said, tell your stories. And Marcia Burr was my first mentor in Dementia Land. Thank you, Marcia. And I wanted to do something. I was angry. I became an advocate because I was angry. Anger stirred me up, and I needed an outlet. Well, I brought a smartphone 3 years ago, and I started to do a video. I said, you know what? I'm mad, and I'm not the type to put myself on the spotlight, and I'm very self-conscious. I would not normally go in front of a camera and do a video. But I figured no one's going to listen to me anyway, so what difference does it make? I have to put aside my own insecurities for a cause I believe in. The world has to know about early onset. They don't know. If doctors don't know, then the rest of the world doesn't know, and I want to wake up the world. So I started going into my car and showing Matt's picture and raising awareness. Showing Matt's picture and saying, this is early onset Alzheimer's. This is what the new face is. It's not your 70 or 80-year-old anymore. Matt was 56 when he was diagnosed. And by the way, before I forget, I'm dedicating this show to my late husband, Matthew Sloan, because if it wasn't for Matthew Sloan, I would not be an advocate. And that's the truth. Because, you know, the saying, if it's not in my backyard, I don't care. Well, the truth is, folks, if it didn't affect me, okay, my mother-in-law my dad had dementia, but when it's your spouse or your partner that has dementia, it becomes a whole different story. And so when doctors don't believe you and when doctors really make you mad, I had to do something with my anger. I didn't want my anger to destroy me. And when I started to do the videos, I started first on early onset, raising awareness. Then I went to talking to other topics like guilt, caregiving tips, and excuse me. And I told Matt, I said, I can't make you a promise about placing you because Matt did not want to be placed. I said, if it becomes a safety issue, you know, I will have to place you. But I will promise you this, Matt, I said to Matt. Somehow, some way, I'm going to tell the world about you, and I'm going to raise awareness. And I want to set the world on fire. I want the world to know about this evil disease and that it could happen to someone at a young age. And the myth that it's an old person's disease and old people get it, the thinking has to change. The stigma has to be erased. And I've said this many times, any dementia is an equal opportunity destroyer. It doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care what color you are, ethnic background, economic. If you have a brain, you are at risk. So there's people who sit up on their high horse thinking they are healthy, they won't get dementia, and yes, you can. Matt was basically healthy. Matt was healthy, except his brain. And his MRI, the first one, this is what really ticked me off, was abnormal. It showed global shrinkage and white, non-specified spots. His EEG was abnormal. The doctor saw these tests, and still they didn't think he had dementia. Yet the company doctor, who never saw any of his tests, suspected it. So it was very frustrating. And I had always hoped that someone from the radio station would hear my video and ask me to tell my story. Well, a local newspaper I called up a couple of years ago, almost 3 years ago now, and I said, it's World Alzheimer's Month. What are you doing? Would you like to hear a story about someone who's early onset? And one paper said yes. And I found out that reason, I think, is because the editor's mom had Alzheimer's. The other paper, the news reporter said she can't do an interview on every new disease that comes down the pike. And I said, well, Alzheimer's is not new. It's over 100 years old. Do your research. So needless to say, that paper didn't do an interview with me. And that's another thing you could do, folks. You could call up your local newspaper and say, hey, how would you like to do an interview? I didn't have any luck with the news stations or local major radio stations. So lo and behold, an earth angel by the name of Jeanne White, who is a station manager at Passion World Talk Radio, heard and saw one of my videos and contacted me about doing an interview. And I remember jumping up and down. This was 2 years ago. And I said, Matt, some lady from a radio station called me, and she wants to hear our story, and I'm going to do an interview. Well, Matt was like, don't talk about me. So I did the interview, and afterwards I cried. It was very cathartic. I think I cried during my interview. And Jeanne White said she was going to do a caregiver series, and she asked if I would speak. And I was like, wow, I'm not a professional speaker. I just have no training. And Jeanne, so sweet, she's my mentor, said, that's okay, you speak from the heart, not that people want to hear. So Jeanne had a show for caregivers, Connect show, and I asked my friends to come on, and, Jeanne would interview them. And then last year, Jeanne asked me about being a guest host, and I was like, oh, I can't do that. She said, yes, you can, Betsy. And then in September last year, can't believe it'll be a year ago, Jeanne said, I think you should have your own show. And I was like, oh, no, I can't do that. I don't know how to interview people. She said, you'll learn. You could do it. And I didn't let my fear stop me. A lot of times, don't we let our fear paralyze us and stop us? And I say, you know what? I'm going to own this. I'm going to do it. I faced my fear, and I did it anyway. And people, listeners, you grow when you get out of your comfort zone. It's comfortable to be in your comfort zone, but you don't grow. You're not going to stretch yourself. And so that's how I became a talk show host at Passionate World Talk Radio, and I named my show Chatting with Betsy. And I can't believe it'll be a year. Happy anniversary. And 2 years with Passionate World Talk Radio. And I want to thank Lillian Caldwell for having this radio station, letting people talk, giving people an opportunity to be heard that otherwise would not be heard. I want to thank Jeanne White for being a mentor to me and being patient with me as I learn as I go along. Folks, I've said this, and I'll say it again. I'm not an expert. I'm just telling you my experiences. So really, you don't make the same mistake. And believe me, I wish there was Passionate World Talk Radio that I heard 10 years ago. I wish there was Marcia Burr speaking. I wish there was Sue Fernandez speaking. We need to speak up. We need to share our stories. And so that's how I became an advocate. Hard to believe that this shy, quiet girl became an advocate. I'm telling you, I was quiet. When I was a candy striper, when I was 14 and 15, I wouldn't even look up at people when I walked into a room. I remember one of the patients saying to me, you would look a lot prettier if you put your head up and smile. I was really shy. And I learned to have more confidence. And Alzheimer's gave me a voice. Alzheimer's, took away my husband, but it gave me a voice. And because of that journey, I became an advocate. I would not have become an advocate otherwise because, like I said, I wouldn't have cared. And, we can't make people care, but we have to educate. It's our job, I feel, to educate, to help other caregivers, especially veteran caregivers. It's your responsibility, I feel, to help another caregiver. You know what you went through. Throw somebody a lifeline so they don't drown. And I almost forgot that I never saw myself as a leader. And yet I was being a leader. And I didn't realize it. And 2 years ago, I attended a summit. And I talked to a life coach, and her name is Erin Lay. And she said, Betsy, helping other caregivers is your passion. Why don't you start a group? And I said, no, I can't do that. I don't have time. I'll do it after Matt dies. She said, no, it's your passion to start it now, even if you do it for 10 minutes. So then later on, I started hashtagging. Probably a year later, I started hashtagging Kick Alzheimer's Ass. And then I met Lori Lepore. And she said, let me help you start the group. And Lori's own sister was dying, and she wanted to do something. And I said, okay, I guess I do need to start this group. So I started hashtag Kick Alzheimer's Ass Movement. Why do I name it that? Why did I name it that? Because I was in a black hole. I've had suicidal thoughts. I never would have done it. I would never leave my family. But, excuse me, I was obsessing over the railroad tracks by work. How would they feel in the winter versus the summer? Yes, I was in a black hole, folks. So when I tell you I was depressed, when I tell you I know what this disease can do to not only the individual who has it, but to their caregiver, I know what I'm talking about when it comes to that. I know what I've experienced. And I said to myself, Betsy, you got to get out of this black hole and never go back in it. Either Alzheimer's is going to kick your ass or you're going to kick its ass. Which one is it? And I decided to come out kicking. And that's why I call my group hashtag Kick Alzheimer's Ass Movement. And anyone is welcome to join. You do not have to have dementia. You can have whatever dementia. It doesn't have to be Alzheimer's. You can have dementia and join my group. You don't even have to have dementia to join my group. You can be a caregiver. You don't even have to be a caregiver. I had people in the group who weren't even caregivers or who are past caregivers. They want to be educated. They want to support caregivers. They want to be there for people. They want to educate themselves. So if you want to be educated and inspired and learn to be an advocate, then please feel free to join my group. I want to inspire people, and that's my mission, to help people and inspire people, to tell people you can make it through the other side of caregiving. I did. Didn't think I was going to, but I did. But caregivers, if you are a caregiver now and you're listening, you must do self-care. And I know it's hard. I know you're probably rolling your eyes. Oh, that's easy for you to say. I will never forget my caregiving experience. It is hard doing self-care. But you know what? Even if it's 5 minutes of deep breathing, meditation, doing something that you like to do, reading the paper, going for a walk, anything you can do for a few minutes to de-stress is good for you. Stress is a killer. A lot of caregivers die early because of stress, and they put their health on the back burner, and they suffer for it. So if you want to make it to the other side and you want to enjoy life after caregiving, you need to take care of yourself. And I'm thankful that I did the best I could in taking care of myself while caring for my husband. And it wasn't always possible to go to the doctor. And I did put my health on the back burner many times. And I want to just say right here, I give God the glory. It was His grace and strength that helped me through, and the prayers of people. And yes, I believe in prayer. And, you know, if you don't believe in God or prayer, that's your business. I'm telling you what I believe and what helped me get through. So, you know, do something for yourself. And that's what I want to say today, folks. I just wanted to share how I became an advocate, because I had to pinch myself because I can't believe what I'm doing now. It's something that I never dreamt of doing. I never would have pictured myself interviewing people, excuse me, calling people up that I do not know and ask them to be on my show, or they ask to be on my show. I still call them up and discuss the interview. That's something I never would have pictured being done, because I don't like calling people up. I really don't like to call people up, but I do call people up to talk to them about the show, because the show, excuse me, is a passion. You have to find your passion, folks. And if you're angry, use that anger for a positive. Use that anger and put it into a positive energy. Don't let it destroy you. And I can't say it enough. Do not let this disease destroy you. It doesn't have to. It's a mindset, people. It really is a mindset. And if you want to see pictures of my husband, and if you want to follow me on my Facebook page, it is Betsy, Betsy, Wurzel, Wurzel. And you can get in touch with me that way. You can always PM me. If you'd like to come on my show, Chatting with Betsy, you can PM me. If you want to discuss whatever topic, if any of you have any suggestions or ideas for topics, feel free to PM me. And I want to thank everyone for listening. And I want to thank Jeanne White. I can't thank Jeanne White enough, and Lillian Caldwell for giving me an opportunity to do what I love, which I didn't know, and that is talking on the radio. And who would have known, people from my past, especially grammar school, they can't even believe it. They just can't believe it. But when you believe in a cause, that makes you want to speak up. When you're angry, that makes you want to speak up. And you know what, folks? I'll tell you a secret. Well, actually, it's not a secret. I'm still angry. Yeah, I'm still angry. Because even at the end of Matt's life, I had to fight for him. And I had to be an advocate for him right up till the end. And, folks, all I can tell you is if you see an injustice being done to your loved one and you don't like it and you don't agree with a doctor or nurse, then you need to speak up. Do it politely, but do it firmly. And know your knowledge, know what you're talking about. And then you can speak your mind. And that's really what I have to say, folks. I want to thank you again. Please subscribe to my show, and that way you won't miss any shows. And have a great week. And be safe, wear your mask, and be kind. And shine your light, because this world needs a light, and we all need to shine bright, especially during these times. So, till I see you again, well, talk to you again. Keep saying sing. I talk to you again. This is Betsy Wurzel, host of Chatting with Betsy at Passionate World Talk Radio. Bye-bye, everybody.